better daily, where we work hard in our minds, bodies, and our spirits to become 1% better every single day. Download the app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live to catch the video version of these podcasts. Here's your host and my dad, Alex Van Houten.
What is up, Betterment family? This is Alex Van Houten in Better Daily Live. Happy Tuesday. It's Nutrition Tip Tuesday, and today we're going to go through a nutrition tip that will help you in your 1% betterment journey. Before I get there, though, wait for it, 35th day of the Faithful 40 Challenge. We only have 5 days left. Hang in there. You're doing an awesome job. We're almost done. Finish strong. So today's question for Nutrition Tip Tuesday comes out of a question that was submitted recently where somebody said, hey, is oatmeal good for my health or not? I'm, Googling that and getting conflicting information. Some people say oatmeal's great for you and some people say it's not. So what's the deal? Which is a great question. Personally, full disclosure, I eat a bowl of oatmeal almost every day in the morning, and I'll explain more about why in a second. But the core of the question actually comes down to, are carbs good for me? Yes or no? That's really the core of the question, right? Because a bowl of oatmeal, I've got it right here, a bowl of oatmeal, one serving that is 1/2 cup dry, so about a cup cooked after it absorbs some water, is 27 grams of carbohydrates, 5 grams of protein, and 2.5 grams of fat. So a very, very carb-heavy food there. Does that mean it's bad? No, it's also got 4 grams of fiber in it, and it's actually kind of hard to find carbohydrates that have so much protein per gram of carb. So, great source of carbohydrates. Now the question is it good for me? Yes or no? And what I wanted to talk to you today about is the idea of earning your carbs, right? So I'll often tell people when they ask me how I feel about carbs, because people are ketogenic or not ketogenic, or carbs have kind of gotten a bad rap. In fact, I'll talk about that more tomorrow on Wild Card Wednesday. But often I'll say carbs are great if you earn them. And let me explain what I mean by that. So first, understand that of the macronutrients, we have proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Proteins are the building blocks of our tissues and our enzymes, right? So our body's built out of proteins. Then we've got fats and carbohydrates. Those are our energy sources. Our body can make some energy from protein, but it's not very efficient. So fats and carbohydrates are our source of energy. Energy to run our organs, energy to do exercise, energy for me to talk to you, energy for you to understand what I'm saying, right? Fats and carbohydrates. Now, fats are essential, meaning that you can't live without them. Fats are what our body uses to create every membrane around every cell. Fats are used to create every hormone in our body. Fats are used to create neurotransmitters. So fats are essential, super, super important that we have fat in our diet. So we've got proteins and fats. They are essential. Your body's built out of proteins. Our body can use fats as an energy source, and our body uses fats to build itself and essential molecules as well, right? Then you've got carbs, and one of the reasons they've gotten a bad rap over the past few years in the fitness world is because carbs are not essential. If you eliminated carbohydrates from your diet, you wouldn't die. Yay. But that's setting the bar kind of low, because carbs are only an energy source. And they're an energy source for you. They're an energy source for all the bugs in your gut. They're an energy source. And if you don't need them as an energy source, great. But most people will do well to have a balanced amount of carbohydrates in their diet. And that's where I say carbs are great if you earn them. So the difference between carbs and fats primarily is carbs have oxygen built right into the molecule, which means that our body doesn't need to deliver oxygen to the cell in order to use carbohydrates as a fuel source. You can think of those as your short-term fuel source, or kind of your body's able to burn through them really easily in order to convert them to movement and whatnot. So fats, on the other hand, require oxygen. The molecule fat does not have the oxygen required in order to create energy out of it, and so our body has to supply oxygen to the cells in order to use fat as a fuel source. So that means our body uses these different sources of fuel for different things. And the way we earn our carbohydrates is through movement and intensity. Okay, so again, we can run off of fat without carbohydrates. Our body is able to do that. It's a good energy source. However, when we start doing intense things, or we're doing large amounts of activity that require a lot of us and require some recovery, then carbohydrates start to become more and more important, right? So carbs are good if you earn them. For instance, I ran with a client this morning. We ran the half-mile loop outside of my house. And in the first 30 seconds or so of the run, you start jogging, you're breathing and stuff. You don't actually use much of the oxygen that's coming in for the run. Like, your body's triggered to breathe, but you're not burning a lot of fat as a fuel source in those first 30 seconds, right? So if we took off sprinting, or if we took off jogging, or if we took off walking, any of those things, what we're doing is we're burning through the extra carbohydrates that are around the cells in our body and that's in the bloodstream of our body. We're burning through carbohydrates as a fuel source for those first 30 seconds. Then between 30 seconds and a minute, we start to reduce the amount of carbohydrates that are available to us immediately in our bloodstream and around our cells. And so as the carbohydrates in our bloodstream decrease, then our body has to switch over to what's called aerobic respiration. We were anaerobic without oxygen. Now we're aerobic with oxygen. And at about the 60 to 90 second mark, we start to transition to going from mostly carbohydrates as a fuel source to mostly fats as a fuel source. And that, depending on our pace, is when we start to get out of breath. Good morning, KT. Good to see you this morning. And so that transition between the immediate, intense start of the exercise toward the long-term, sustainable, durable exercise is that transition between using those two types of fuel sources. What's up, Scott? Good to see you this morning. And so when I say you have to earn your carbs, whether or not oatmeal is good for you has a lot to do with whether or not you're earning your carbs, is that if you're not exercising regularly, not if you're not active, if you're not exercising regularly, if you're not regularly doing things that require adaptation from the body, then increasing your carbohydrate intake by adding a bowl of oatmeal in the morning might not be good for you. Because if you don't use carbs, you store them. That's the thing about carbohydrates, is carbohydrates are a wonderful short-term fuel source that can be healthy and good for you and a powerful part of your training program. But if you're not using them, then your body has no choice but to store them because they're a short-term fuel source. Your body can only store so much of them before it has to take the extra and put it away for later in the form of fat. And just to belabor this point, at any given time, given my weight and body fat percentage and whatnot, what's up, John? Good to see you this morning. At any given time, my body only has about 2,000 calories of carbohydrates available to it. That's about how much I can store. Okay, 2,000 calories of carbohydrates. If I burn through all those carbohydrates and I don't die or anything, I just have no more short-term fuel source. So about 2,000 calories of carbohydrates to run my organs, to run my brain, to, run my exercise and stuff. And when I consume carbohydrates, I restore these. But once those glycogen stores are full, once all those glycogen stores are full, my body has to do something with the extra carbohydrates. And the extra carbohydrates then can be stored as fat. So 2,000 calories of carbohydrates. That's my limit. That's the upper limit. Our fat storage, on the other hand, is essentially infinite. We can have as much fat on our body as we can carry, right? So that's the conundrum. That's why carbs get a bad rap, is because if you're not using your carbohydrates, if you're not exercising in a way that requires adaptation, if you're not moving intensely in order to deplete those glycogen stores, then when you consume carbohydrates, your body has no choice but to store them. So, simple answer to my friend's question. Is oatmeal good for you? Yes or no? It's great for you if you're earning it. If you're doing intense exercise on a regular basis, please, by all means, add a bowl of oatmeal to your morning. Remember, about 27 grams of carbohydrates. I personally love oatmeal in the morning as breakfast. I generally don't eat it if I'm resting that day. I don't eat oatmeal if I'm not lifting or if I'm not running that day. And so you can take that for what it's worth in your personal program. And tomorrow for Wildcard Wednesday, I'll talk to you guys a bit more about carbohydrates and macronutrients as a whole. But I hope this helps. I hope if you don't take anything else away from me here, that carbohydrates in your life can be a very good and powerful thing. We didn't even talk about glycemic index, but we won't today. I'll talk about it tomorrow. It can be a very good and powerful add to your program. However, you have to earn it. You have to do difficult things in order to require those short-term fuel source to be healthy and good for you. So, I'd love to hear from you. Do you like oatmeal? Do you add it to your regimen on a regular basis? And what are you doing to earn your carbohydrates this week? Guys, this has been Alex Van Houten in Better Daily. Thanks for joining me for Tip Tuesday. Until next time, it's just 1%. You got this.
Thank you for joining us for your 1% Better today. Don't forget to subscribe for the podcast. Leave us a raving review to tell others how Better Daily has helped you in your journey. If you want more Better Daily, download our app and join our Betterment family at betterdaily.live. Use code POD to get 25% off your subscription. That's POD, all caps, to save 25% on your subscription. We all have a cross to carry. It's lighter when we do it together. Go to betterdaily.live today.